What is your least favorite portion of Dragon Ball Super? The series made its debut hot off the heels of Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods and Resurrection F. But from the get-go, the anime was met with fierce controversy and criticism as it began with the retelling of the Battle of Gods and Resurrection F movies, one which had just released in theaters just months before Dragon Ball Super hit the air. While the series would go on to have many highs and lows, there's always one portion of the series we look back on as when DBS hit rock bottom with only a few redeeming qualities. The production mishaps, questionable writing decisions, and lack of a new compelling story, plus a whole lot more, this arc is still highly disliked to this day. My name is Champazard, and this is how Resurrection F became and is still widely considered to be Dragon Ball Super's worst arc. Just a friendly reminder to not forget to hit the like button, leave your thoughts in the comments, and hit the subscribe button as it helps the channel and it helps the video. Battle of Gods, though flaws it does have, is still mostly adored and held in high regard to this day, even over a decade after its initial release. I'm mainly referring to the movie adaptation, as many, myself included, would consider that the superior telling of the story. Battle of Gods opened up a whole new realm of power for Goku and Vegeta to pursue with God Ki, introduced the concepts of the 13 universes and the God of Destruction hierarchy towards the end of the movie with the revelation of Whis, far surpassing the strength of Beerus in being his teacher. One would assume that upon this revelation, that any future stories the franchise would tell, it would build and expand upon the massive revelations in Battle of Gods, such as exploring some of the new universes or even more about the gods. The Resurrection F and its very concept did the exact opposite, with the whole of the story doing very little to expand upon what Battle of Gods began. If anything, it derailed the momentum that Dragon Ball had gained upon its return in 2013. Telling a more grounded story that mainly occurs on Earth isn't a bad thing in and of itself, but by what had been so majorly teased in Battle of Gods, we seemed primed to explore further into the Dragon Ball universes with the sequel movie. So when Resurrection F was revealed to be taking place on Earth, with an old villain being brought back, it truly subverted expectations and caught people off guard. So one culprit for this movie's lack of great reception as time has gone on is its timing and how it failed to capitalize on the momentum the newly revitalized franchise had going for it. Something which was even further derailed when Dragon Ball Super did a retelling of the movie, but I'll get into that later in the video. But that wasn't the primary issue for this portion of the problem. Battle of Gods introduced so many new and exciting things into Dragon Ball as I mentioned earlier. Resurrection F failed to do any of that. Yes, we had Super Saiyan Blue, but that was just furthering the Super Saiyan God plotline from earlier in the previous movie with Super Saiyan God. This leads me into one prominent complaint regarding the story. It rehashed an old villain without adding anything new and interesting. Yes, Golden Frieza can be cool and interesting in a certain sense, but that's just a power-up at the end of the day. That aspect doesn't affect the plot of the movie. The plot ultimately boils down to Frieza is alive and he wants revenge. Resurrection F lacks anything new and exciting beyond transformations. There's no compelling narrative for us viewers to chew into, such as in Battle of Gods, where we were left wondering who are these exciting new characters, what is a God of Destruction, and what's a Super Saiyan God. Going from Beerus to rehashing a fight with Frieza is a big downgrade in comparison. Frieza is one of my favorite villains in the franchise, but not for what he did in this movie, but for his conquest in Dragon Ball Z. Reusing an old character for new stories is always risky. It boils down to, does bringing back this character add anything of substance to the story we are trying to tell? Is there anything else left to explore regarding this character that we haven't already seen? And Resurrection F failed to do all of those things. From the moment of his revival, Frieza wanted nothing but revenge, boiling down to a revenge narrative where the goal is to just get stronger and go kill the desired target. Resurrection F didn't tell a nuanced and exciting narrative about Frieza's revenge. Frieza was revived, trained, and came to fight Goku and Vegeta while inadequately prepared. Seeing Super Saiyan Blue vs. Golden Frieza fighting is something that can be enjoyable, but in the greater context of the series, it pales what came before and after. Battle of Gods was new and grandiose. The Universe 6 arc to follow introduced a plethora of brand new characters and concepts regarding other universes. All Resurrection F truly offered in that regard is that Frieza can still transform, which many people also offer up as a criticism, which I'll touch on later. Beyond offering some fun classic Dragon Ball fights, Resurrection F doesn't offer anything much aside from that. And the fights themselves are also lackluster in comparison to other clashes to come later in the series, leaving this portion of events easily looked over and forgotten about. The new concept of Black Frieza in the Dragon Ball Super manga, while we still have seen very little, already seems more promising than Resurrection F, but even that will still suffer from rehashing Frieza yet again. Hey, if you're enjoying the video, don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment about your thoughts, and hit the subscribe button as it helps the channel and the video grow. When Dragon Ball Super was announced, as a longtime Dragon Ball fan watching this video, you may have been excited for what new adventures Goku may get into following the successes of Battle of Gods and even the Resurrection F movies in theaters. But what did you think of Dragon Ball Super retelling both those previous movies? And what I would say was in a very inferior fashion. Resurrection F arc of the Dragon Ball Super anime is held in even lower regard than the movie. The movie had the benefit of being a movie-level production, so it received stellar art and animation and production. The arc retelling in the anime endured the worst of early Dragon Ball Super's production issues, where many say the series hit an absolute rock bottom, which only further contributes to me and others believing that it's the worst arc in the series. The movie can be enjoyed for it being a movie-level production and it being Dragon Ball. But what does the anime version of events offer in comparison? While it wasn't a one-to-one retelling, it added hardly anything of actual substance. The Battle of Gods retelling also suffered from this, though its retelling didn't suffer quite as bad as the arc that would follow it. The primary issue with the story being told in the Dragon Ball Super anime wasn't the plot and narrative issues it lacked, as I explored earlier, but that the movie version was released in 2015. The anime version of events began around episode 19 in November 2015, just a little over half a year after the movie hit theaters. This problem becomes almost apparent based on that timeline alone. At least retelling Battle of Gods had over 2 years since the movie was released, but retelling Resurrection F with nothing of substance added, with far inferior production and animation compared to its movie counterpart, it's almost baffling to think about. Why would fans have an interest in seeing the anime version of events? If you watched weekly, you may have watched with curiosity to keep an eye out for any major additions or changes, but very little of that came, the most noteworthy being the return of Captain Ginyu, which was fun to see, but what did that add to the overarching narrative of the events playing out? I plan on revisiting the Battle of Gods Resurrection F movies in the future, but revisiting the anime portion of events is far less enticing. The retelling was made even worse by the production issues, which I'll explore in the next section, but the main point of many retellings would be to improve upon the original. Dragon Ball Super failed to do that. It failed to equal the original even, and offered a far lesser product in actuality. When Dragon Ball Super was airing during this time, fans were frothing at the mouth for new content. When Dragon Ball Super was announced, people expected new stories to unfold with brand new content. By retelling the movies, the series spent over half a year rehashing content which killed a lot of interest in the series at that point in time. To make matters more severe, the manga was ahead of the anime at this time, and had already entered the Universe 6 arc, so people were far more interested in the manga than the anime at this time, and that's to be expected. Why invest more time in a lackluster story retelling when you know everything that's going to happen and you can just watch the superior movie instead? The retelling of Resurrection F being so inferior to its movie counterpart also contributes to the narrative of it being broadly considered to be the series' worst arc. Ultimately, these arcs were most likely rehashed to prepare new stories to come and to streamline the series to be watched as an anime series without having to bounce from movies to an anime for potential viewers. While it makes some sense from that perspective, the execution led to a story rehashing that committed the same sense of the original, failed to capitalize on the points of a retelling by improving the issues from the original, and overall just offered a far inferior product that fans of the series were forced to begrudgingly endure. This issue prevails beyond just the issues of telling a subpar retelling of an already established story and failing to improve on issues from the original like adding new exciting plot elements. It is the primary reason why the Dragon Ball Super retelling is there to be so much worse in comparison, and that's its production. The production behind the scenes behind the Resurrection F anime was a complete and utter disaster. The biggest issue of Dragon Ball Super's early days wasn't the fact that it was retelling movies we had already seen, but that the art and animation were so lackluster. Dragon Ball Super Episode 5 is still infamous to this day for the product that was put on television, not to any fault of the animators working on the show, but on the harrowing production schedule they were being forced to work under. Resurrection F's movie and anime are very similar in overall plot beats. Where they differ so greatly is the quality of art and animation. The movie benefited greatly from having a movie-level production. The anime retelling suffered greatly from being put under horrible production schedules. That to this day is still one of Dragon Ball Super's biggest complaints. The inconsistency of the quality of the animation being put on screen, mainly in its early days. These problems did improve as time went on. Battle of Gods had plenty of production issues itself, but these issues hit their pinnacle in the Resurrection F arc, where every episode was suffering greatly. If you watch the original TV broadcast of these episodes, you can see it for yourself. I'm sure you saw the screenshots even. This made every episode harder to watch on top of everything else. Nothing new in what was already considered to be a lackluster story that we'd already seen, combined with extremely subpar art and animation, created a combination that has led almost all watchers of the series always recommending the movie over the anime for this arc. When you examine the timeline of events, it's easy to see how Dragon Ball Super suffered so greatly in its early days on the production side of things. Resurrection F, the movie, released in April. In May, weeks later, Dragon Ball Super was announced and it began airing in July, indicating the anime had a far shorter production time than the average anime does, and was being rushed out the door by Toei to capitalize on the success of their recent movies. This led to the animators working on an extremely rushed schedule, which the quality of the series greatly reflected. But even if the production schedule had been even better, would superior art and animation really have made this arc more enticing than its movie counterpart? Most likely not, as the concept of Resurrection F is tied down by several varying issues that has always made it a prime target for criticism. The questionable writing decisions that plagued Resurrection F left a bad taste in the mouths of many. I explored this earlier a bit with the lack of a compelling narrative and a reused villain which directly ties into the writing. Toriyama, while he didn't write anything majorly egregious in Resurrection F, it just stands out as extremely bland with few redeeming qualities. Some of the most baffling decisions made regarding Resurrection F is when it's held under scrutiny next to Battle of Gods in the order of events. Battle of Gods sets up perfectly to tell new stories and explore Dragon Ball's universe, which we already know. That's what people wanted and expected. It's how Battle of Gods ended, revealing how many verses were out there and how many strong fighters Goku could potentially meet. While we would eventually go down these paths in Universe 6 in the Tournament of Power, the timing contributes greatly to how it killed Battle of Gods' momentum. Instead of capitalizing and exploring the universe of any of the gods further, Resurrection F, which is Battle of Gods' direct sequel, not only failed to reveal an exciting new antagonist, it just reused an old villain. This concept can work under certain circumstances, such as exploring new stories with said character, but nothing new is given to Frieza to make his resurrection and seeing him again truly compelling beyond the fact that it's just Frieza, a beloved villain from Dragon Ball. It didn't take Goku, Vegeta, and Frieza on a journey elsewhere in the universe. It just brought us right back to Earth after teasing what was beyond Earth in Battle of Gods. Battle of Gods left us excited to see Goku and Vegeta go back out into the universe, but Resurrection F kept us grounded in familiar and trodden territory, contradicting what had been so heavily teased. It is fun seeing Frieza again, don't get me wrong, but it must be maintained that there was more that could have been done. Some new backstory, family, or motivations for Frieza to add to the narrative, like they did with the Broly movie, to make it compelling beyond just seeing a Goku vs. Frieza rematch. But no, Frieza is revived, trains, and fights Goku to get killed again, leaving us back where we began at the beginning of the arc with only a few lessons taught to Goku and Vegeta as a lasting impact. Of course, Frieza will have a much more enticing and compelling role in the Tournament of Power, but that isn't what this video is about. Beyond just that, issues that continue to plague this arc is how Frieza was written to close the gap so easily with Goku and Vegeta. Since Frieza's death against future Trunks, many years had passed in which Goku and Vegeta trained and grew stronger. Years they spent pushing their mortal limits before breaking into the godly realm. Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3, Super Saiyan God, and Super Saiyan Blue. All new powers Goku and Vegeta obtained which made them incredibly more powerful each step of the way. And Frieza closed that gap with just 4 months of off-screen training, with the reasoning being tons of potential that he had never trained before. Yes, it makes sense for Frieza to have potential and if he's never trained before to get a lot stronger very fast. But to the point that he breaks to the godly realm of power and surpasses Goku and Vegeta in strength? I don't know. That's the aspect of things people have a hard time buying into. It creates narrative issues, such as if Frieza had just trained for a day before Namek, he could have even defeated the likes of Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Majin Buu, which is baffling to think about, but may be true based on Dragon Ball Super's absurd power scaling. At least in regards to Black Frieza, he spent 10 years training, which is significantly more time than 4 months. But further writing issues that has remained a source of criticism is teasing Vegeta getting the kill only to give it to Goku, as well as Whis conveniently being able to rewind time to bail Goku and Vegeta out of a bad situation. Resurrection F suffered greatly from its production issues, but its biggest flaw was the lack of an exciting plot and the writing issues that weighed it down even further. A refused villain, a lack of a compelling new story, a lack of compelling new characters, and contrived plot elements like Frieza quickly training and becoming stronger than Goku and Vegeta and closing the gap, and even Whis rewinding time. All these are writing decisions that are fair to be criticized, and they often are. If Whis and Angel, who isn't supposed to interfere in mortal affairs, just rewinds time like that, then there's no lasting consequences. You can also make the argument that Whis, by rewinding time, directly interfered in mortal events. His decision helped Goku save the Earth and everybody from dying, like happened originally, before rewinding time. Overall, Resurrection F was mainly just weighed down by a plethora of questionable writing decisions that are often criticized still to this day. And there are probably even more that I'm not even mentioning here in this video. From the highs of the Tournament of Power to the lows of Resurrection F, Dragon Ball Super went through a roller coaster of highs and lows. But Resurrection F had few highs to offer with a plethora of lows, as I'll highlighted here today. While as a fan of Dragon Ball, I can always find ways to enjoy even the worst arc of the series, I can't help but feel Resurrection F could have been far more than it actually was. With the mid-level production and Toriyama at the helm, they developed exciting experiences such as Battle of Gods, Dragon Ball Super Broly, and Dragon Ball Super Superhero for the big screen. But Resurrection F, in comparison to those movies, falls noticeably short with a plethora of issues that were multiplied by its anime retelling. Everything with Frieza was to follow in Dragon Ball Super has been far more compelling than his original return in Resurrection F. Seeing Frieza's presence in the Tournament of Power really changed things, as it always managed to create a sense of tension and questioning if Frieza was truly on the side of Universe 7 or if he was plotting something else. And even with the reveal of Black Frieza, taking out Goku and Vegeta and learning what his true intentions might be and what his end goals are, and how the current heroes are going to stop him in the future. And even seeing Frieza work together with Goku in Universe 7 to save Universe 7 the Tournament of Power are among fans' favorite moments in the series, showing that while bringing Frieza back does have its issues, that if done correctly, a lot of fun can still be had. But let me know what you think down in the comments. Did you like Resurrection F, or did you agree with some of the complaints I made here today? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button, don't forget the subscribe button as I'm trying to grow the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.